Limits are thresholds, not terms. This is the next installment of Negotiation Doesn't Mean What You Think It Means. You're listening to the Mistress Code. I'm RacyWilde. A limit is a threshold. It is not a preference, nor is it a boundary. Just a side note, language sucks sometimes. The word threshold actually has two meanings. We can use threshold for consent, which means a doorway that is crossed for entry, but we can also use threshold for limits, which means an amount or level reached on a scale. I think the use of this word can cause some confusion when explaining BDSM concepts, especially for beginners, because it takes a little while to understand which threshold definition is being used for which concept. It's about understanding BDSM dialect, and that takes time and experience in the scene. But I digress. A limit is a subjective and situational marker of intensity. Physical, emotional, psychological, or erotic, that can exist anywhere along a personal spectrum. The mistake is to imagine limits as a fixed and universal thing, but in truth, limits are dynamic. They shift according to context, stress, arousal, emotional availability, partner energy, environmental factors, hormonal state, and countless other variables. For example, a submissive who usually enjoys heavy impact play may find themselves highly sensitized after a stressful week and only be able to tolerate a small fraction of their normal range. This is not inconsistency, but the use of embodied intelligence. Thus, the ethical dominant learns to track not just the content of the scene, but the condition of the submissive's thresholds in real time. One of the most effective tools for this is a limit intensity scale, often numbered from 1 to 10. Here, 1 represents low intensity and 10 represents the hard limit or tap-out point. The dominant regularly checks in by asking, "Where are you now?" or "What number?" The submissive responds with a number, truthfully. This is not topping from the bottom. This is mutual intelligence. The dominer might have the macro and micro view, but only the submissive has their internal view. Experienced players may sometimes engage in limit expansion, consciously and consensually pushing the edge of their capacity for growth, transformation, or pleasure. But this is never assumed. It is never required. The question must always be asked, do you want to be pushed? And if the answer is no, that no is not a power move or a tease. It is not a challenge. It is an act of self-protection. Limits are sites of care and respect. They are not arenas for performance or competition. Also, to frame the refusal to exceed a limit as disobedience or weakness is to reduce the dynamic to coercion, and that is not BDSM domination, but unethical violence. The next installment in the series is Boundaries Are Not to Be Negotiated Either.